welcome to Sew Denim Quilting. I'm Glenda Burton, and today we are on step 3. We've made our blocks. We've joined our blocks into one very big, 2 strips. I've went ahead and for my backing, I decided to go ahead and make a backing for this quilt out of denim, and I'm using 9-inch squares. It's not exactly gonna fit exactly in the back, but it's the front and the back. So I went ahead and sewed my back together in 2 pieces. We have our batting, roughly cut. We'll get that a little bit better. And the goal is we are going to quilt these like we did this one, so that we can go ahead and we will be able to join the 2 pieces together, and we will only have one seam instead of multiple seams on the back and front. So let's get started. All right, since I'm making my backing out of, well, basically full squares, but I want to kind of see if I can center it. The way I'm doing this is before I add my batting and my top, I took the dimensions of my backing, which was 67 by 34, and my top, I measured that, and it was 60 by 30. And the difference, if you divide it in half, because I've got, so the difference is 7 inches. So this is 3.5 inches, and this is 4 inches, which is divided as 2 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and mark around the whole perimeter so that I can kind of align it when I put the top on it. So the top is 3 inches, 3.5 inches, and since it's going to be on the inside, I am going to just run a line down so I can so that I have a reference guide to line up my pieces, because it's a very large. It's 67. It's 67 this way, and 34 this way. So it's a lot of material to work with, even though I am doing quilt as you go. So down from the edge to go, there's a half, 1, 2, 3. So I need to go in the 3, and then I'm going to start, this is only doing, I got my measurements backwards. This one's 2, and the sides are 3.5. So 1, 2, 3, and a half is right there. So that's where I'm going to start. I only need actually 2 inches. I'm going to flip this around. So there's my 2 inches. And this side is where it's going to join together in the middle, and then it'll be on the top as well. But so 3.5 in. 1, 2, 3, where'd it go? Measure twice. Okay, so there's a half. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to just draw a line 2 inches from the edge. Try to keep it lined up. This is on the inside, so you won't see it, and it doesn't bleed through. I'm using a permanent marker, but you can use one of those heat ones, but I don't have one, so this is what I'm using. 3.5 is right there. But I only need 2 here, so there's my mark. Okay, so then on these sides, I'm going to do it up 3.5. And we'll go ahead and do that, and we'll be back, and I'll show you the next step. My second step is to add my batting, and I've laid my batting bumpy side down against my backing. My backing is face down because that's the back, and my wrong side in, bumpy side in, and then what I'm gonna do is go ahead and first pin all the way around so I get it nice and taut. And then I'll come back and add my batting or my top. But before that, I'm going to go around and I'm going to pin it down so that I make sure it's covering the whole backing. Then I'm going to flip it and trim to the size of my backing so that it's, because I have plenty of room where I'm going to have plenty of batting. So I'm not going to worry about it being too long. I got plenty of shrinkage because I'm joining this as a quilt as you go. So right now in this step, all I'm going to do is go around and pin around the whole thing, and I'll come back and trim it. Now that I went ahead and pinned this all the way around, I'm going to flip it over and trim it around the edges a little bit. I don't have basting spray. I'm working in a very small scale. Wish I had. I mean, it'd be nice to have basting spray, but something I don't have. So pens are my friends. As you can see, we have batting all the way around, and I'm just gonna go ahead and trim it up, not all the way up to the edge, but kind of even it off a little bit so that I still have some room. But it's just so that I don't have a ton sticking out. I'm cutting off about ½ inch or so from it. I'll do this all the way around, and then I'll come back and we'll add the top to it. Again, I don't have basting spray, so this is how I'm doing it, and I'm doing it in a small space. I don't have a big floor to lay it down and baste it down. I space in my house, so I'm just using what I have. So this just goes to show you don't have to have lots of room to do this. So next, I will add, once I go around the whole thing and trim it up, I will come back and we'll add the top. All right, I've got my backing with the wrong side up. I've got my batting with the scrim side down. And I have my top with the right side facing up. And basically what I did is I took a stick pin and started in the corners where my corner is and stuck it down through, and then kind of used that as my guide as to where to start, and I pinned each of my corners. So See, I put it down about the same distance and then I have it on the top. So it should line up. Should being the key word. And then I went ahead and pinned it down. And I did that on all 4 corners. I did the same thing here. This one's a little bit hard to see, as you can see it. It's there, right there, but you can barely see it. And then I made sure I had it all stretched out between it as best I could. And then I've come back and using this guideline, I stick a pin down. You can either use a safety pin to stick it down. So this edge should, when I stick the pin down through here, well, actually the stick pin works better. So you stick the stick pin on the edge, and it should line up on, and if it doesn't, you can go ahead and pull it to get it taut, and put your pin down in there. And that, again, I'll go in a little bit. And I want to make sure when I put it down here, I'm in about the same amount, which means, and it's kind of hard to do it on this table because it's kind of falling off the table, and that helps me to line up and get it tight so that when it's hopefully centered in here. So I'm going to put that pin in. Oops. Take this out now. Line it up again. And that's kind of, that helps me to see where it's at on my down there. And so then when I pin it with my safety pin, it will hopefully be taut. And when I do this, actually, I'm showing you a little bit, it's a little bit harder up here. But I lay it out on my table and I go all the way around doing that. And that allows me, I might have to pull one or the other, but that helps me to line it up and hopefully gets it really taut. And so I'm going around the whole deal, my whole section, and that's how I'm doing it, so that it's, again, I'm in about a thumb length, so I want to be in here about a thumb length. And that helps, and then to make sure that it's where it should be, hopefully. And as I go around putting pins in, put it in about there. Then I will look underneath and make sure it's lining up. Just going straight down and lining up where I want it to. If I need to, I'll pull the bottom a little tighter. If I need to. And that's how I'm keeping it taut. Like I said, I don't have the basting spray, so that's how I'm doing it. And then I will, once I get all 4 sides pinned down, then I'm going to come back down and come back in, and I'm going to pin in the centers, like in the center of here, and make sure I'm about a hand's width apart. Start in the middle. So that's kind of the middle. So I'll start in the middle, and I will put a pin in there. All right, now that we have it stretched out with the 3 pieces together, I'm going to continue to baste it with pins. So I'm just going to start kind of in the middle of my quilt with my pins. Keep smoothing it out, make sure that it's taut. And then I'm going to put a pin in about roughly 1 hand's width away. And then I'm going to do that all over the quilt. And then I can start quilting it. Well, I have one more step. I'm going to put some painter's tape on the edge where I don't want to sew. I'll come back and show you that in a minute. thanks to time-lapse, thanks to video photography. I'll be back and show you how I'm going to do that. I don't know how many pins in this thing. We got a lot. Before I can start sewing, I'm going to go ahead and use my tape as my guide. I'm only going to put it where I'm going to join my seams at so that I don't sew it down. So I'm just going to roll this up. Okay. So this is where I want to make sure that I give myself room to be able to pull it back and sew it together. So I'm going to go ahead and put my tape that I've got from Ace. It's lovely stuff. And basically, I'm just going to tape down the edge of it to the edge. And this is going to be my stop line when I'm sewing, so that it's not, I don't have to unpick it down there. I'll be able to go ahead and sew it together, and then in the next step. I'm not going to do it on the sides because these aren't getting joined. Just these. I have another use for the tape. All right, there's one side. Your tape. All right. Tape on this other side. I'll have to get that out of there. It's kind of in the way, but well, so there it goes. Nice thing about painter's tape is you can readjust it. And this is approximately a 1/2 inch. That's why I like using this one. Don't have to measure. And then when I'm sewing, because like I said, I'm going to echo my along my seams here, and so that I know there's gonna be a lot of twisting and turning, I'm going to use the tape kind of as my guidelines, because I'm just going to do one row at a time. So I'm going to use the tape along as a reminder that, hey, don't go past there. I'm going to do it on the opposite side as well, so that I don't get confused and go, oh yeah, I'm echoing along. Oh, let's go this way. Oh, let's go this way. You know, so I can kind of keep track of where I'm going. Because I kind of plan on going up and down on one side. And then I plan on going, then I have to come back down the other side and do it the same way. So that's what the tape is going to be for, just to remind me where to stop and turn and go back the other way. And I can remove it and use it on the next block. And hopefully that will help you stay organized and unconfused. Thank you for joining me in this video as we've prepped our pieces for quilting. Join me for the next video when I go ahead and when I'm ready to join them together. If you haven't hit the like and subscribe, do so now so that you can catch my next video so you don't miss an episode. See you in the next video.